court in Sicily is set to begin proceedings against a man who prosecutors suspect of running one of the biggest human trafficking rings in North Africa. Prosecutors have identified the man as Medani Mered. They say he helped smuggle thousands of people from Africa to European countries. But the defendant says it's a case of mistaken identity. He says his real name is Medani Bere and he's a dairy worker. Well, to make sense of it all, let's talk to Giorgia Orlandi. She's following the story from Rome. Hi, Giorgia. Just tell us what progress there's been in this case so far.
Yeah, a very interesting case involves this Eritrean man who was detained last May in Sudan and later extradited to Italy in June. He's known as the General. His name is Medani Mered, a 35-year-old world's most wanted people smuggler. He's believed to be at the heart of an operation to smuggle migrants from Africa to Italy. Now, according to the UK National Crime Agency, the man also organized a boat trip which ended in a tragic accident in 2014 near the island of Lampedusa, and as a consequence of that, 359 people died. According to Italian investigators who are leading the inquiry and who made the arrest based on some wiretapped telecom conversation, the man has been smuggling around 13,000 people, charging sometimes up to 5,000 euro for those migrants to make these trips from Africa to Italy. Now, the trial is starting today, with the first hearing just started about half an hour ago in the city of Palermo in Sicily.
Now, he, of course, claims that this is all just a case of mistaken identity. He's not the man they're looking for. Is there an obligation first, at least, to prove that he is indeed the man prosecutors say he is?
There isn't an obligation as such. As at the beginning of the trial, the evidence has now been gathered, so of course this will be verified throughout the whole trial. We don't have an indication yet on how long the trial will go on for. Probably will take up to a year for the judge to read his sentence. We do know that from relatives and friends of the detained man that yes, they believe police has arrested the wrong person. These are according to some photographs that have been released throughout the media and social media and the internet. We do also know from a woman who has identified herself as the sister of the detained man that this man is innocent. Also, we heard from an Eritrean Swiss journalist who she believed interviewed the journal about a year ago. She says this is not the man police is looking for, and in a recent interview, and I quote, she said, "I called the refugees who know the real smuggler and I showed them the picture the Italians published, and then everybody said, no, that's not the smuggler who smuggled us into Europe." Also, we do know that there have been fresh photographs published in the recent days that have also been reported on the Guardian newspaper, showing the man who's thought to be the general dating back to 2014, showing that the two men are different. This is something that has also been said and defended by the lawyer acting on behalf of the Eritrean man, Mr. Michele Calantropo.
So what kind of sentence could he actually be facing? And is there a sense that more of these arrests and charges will be brought against other suspected traffickers now?
Well, the man, if convicted, is risking up to 30 years in jail. We do know that this hearing and the trial is part of a water operation, a water investigation called Glauco, to aim at disrupting a smuggling network operating between Africa and Italy. Today's hearing is going to be very much of a preliminary hearing. The case will be introduced to the judge, and a list of potential witnesses as well will be presented. We do know that on behalf of the Eritrean man, there are about 40 people who will come along and give their evidence, including some experts. Prosecutors really wanted this trial to take place back in September, as they believe they have gathered 17 new pieces of evidence. It's a very delicate case, as we said. We won't get to a sentence before a year. On the side of the Eritrean man, lawyer Michele Calantropo, he's really hoping that this hearing will take place separately from the rest of the investigation, as he thinks, of course, that the potential risk of a case of mistaken identity is obviously needs to be addressed urgently. So he's really hoping for a sentence to be reached as soon as possible.
Giorgia Orlandi, thank you so much for joining us there from Rome.